So how did Indypopcon go? It didn't go very well. It went horribly. It was hands down the worst con I have ever been to, and I have been to a lot of cons. This one, we paid $100 to be VIPs, which meant that we would be allowed to line jump for 3 panels, 1 photo op, and 1 autograph line. Because I had to work, I was unable to get here to Indiana until Saturday. We got here at Saturday at noon. The con started on Friday. And at noon, we were told that they had just taken a whole bunch of VIPs back to do a signing with Markiplier and Jacksepticeye and Bob and Wade, and that we would not be able to get a signing that day, which is kind of bullshit whenever you're, a VIP and you're supposed to be allowed to skip the line and, go to the front of the line. But we're like, okay, and they're like, we'll come back tomorrow, Sunday, at 9 a.m., and you'll get in then. So we're like, all right. So we go and we look at the exhibition hall. Beth goes and she got a signature from Troy Baker, and we lined up at 3 o'clock for the Markiplier panel, which was due to start at 4:30. It had VIP seating. They were supposed to empty out the VIP seating in between panels. They did not do so. So we had a hard time finding a seat in VIP seating. Finally, we had to, and I feel like an ass for doing it, but we had to kick some people out that were not VIPs, that were sitting in the VIP seating, just so that we could use what we ended up paying for. We found out that people were camping there the entire day. So from 9 o'clock in the morning, they camped there in this hall area. It wasn't even a hall. It was mostly like they had registration across the room for it, and it was a huge room, and the acoustics were really terrible, and you couldn't hear anything anyways. But people were camping there the entire day, which, quite frankly, is not fair to any of the other people who are presenting panels, because, their fans came to see them, and they had to contend with all these Markiplier fans who were sitting there who wouldn't move and should have been made to move because the panel was not until 4:30. They should have had people queue up outside in the hallway. That's what San Diego does, to get into the panels. They should have cut off the panel at a certain point and said, hey, you're a one-day pass person. Sorry, you don't get in. So to make sure the people that paid more get into these things. So we sat there, and it was okay seats. I had a little bit of trouble because I had a really tall person sit in front of me, see them. And even though we were closer to the front, it's still because of where they had the room, it was hard to hear them. So that was Saturday. So we come back. We stayed overnight in a hotel in Indianapolis, and we came back in the morning, and we were told to be there at 9. This is important. We were told to be there at 9. We got there at 8:40. There was already a line outside the convention center in one of the hallways. Very long line. And we go up, and we're like, where did the VIP people go? And they're like, well, do you have a ticket? Because they were handing out people tickets the day before for day passes and things to give you in the line for the signings. And we're like, what ticket? You didn't give us a ticket. And they're like, oh, well, you're not going to get in unless you have a ticket. And we're like, what about this VIP pass, this mythical VIP pass that's supposed to allow us to skip the lines and go right in? You go to Disney World and those kind of things, and they sell those get on the roller coasters faster, kind of like fast pass kind of deals. That's pretty much what we were expecting. That was what we were promised, and that is not what we got. And then we talked to this one fellow who was the guy that we talked to the day before at registration, and and this is a bold-faced lie, told us that we should have been there at 7:30 in the morning, and that he told us that we should have been there at 7:30 in the morning. That's a lie. That's a complete lie. He did not tell us that. He told us to be there at 9. So they're thieves and they're liars. We asked for a refund because at that point, obviously, we were not going to get in. And we were told in no uncertain terms, no, they were not issuing refunds today. And I said, well, are you issuing refunds tomorrow? And they're like, no, we are not issuing refunds. So I'm like, what was the point of us buying this $100 ticket to get into this event when we couldn't use any of the perks besides sitting in a panel and going to their little VIP lounge, which was the crappiest little thing ever? What was the point? What was the point of it all? It really aggravates me. And this is terrible customer service. To not even offer any sort of compensation, to say, oh, well, we fucked up, and, well, here's something. Here's a partial payment. Here's, I don't even know, something. Anything would have been better. So I sat there and trying to figure out what the hell could I do. And finally, I tried to call some of the local media. Unfortunately, because there was flooding in the area the day before, they couldn't spare somebody to come out to interview me. They were pretty interested in the story, and they apologized for that. They said that that was unfair for what they had done. But, these things happen. Anything you want to add? No?
I think you got it.
So they didn't offer us a refund. They flat out, they laughed in our faces when we actually asked them for a refund too. And there was a family from North Carolina that I was talking to, and she told me later that they got escorted off the premises for asking for a refund, and they were threatened to be arrested because they asked for a refund. There was another family, a couple, that I had met that had said that the day before on Saturday, because the woman was disabled and they had her in a walker, that because she was not in a wheelchair, that to come back Sunday and she would be able to get in the line to do a signing, or they will give her a refund. So she came back Sunday in a wheelchair, and they refused to let her have a signing, and they refused to let her have a refund. So they reneged on their promises to that woman who was disabled, and they lied to everybody, and they cheated everybody, and it's ridiculous, and they just got away with it. That's the crazy part. Like, that is poor customer service. It's terrible customer service. How does that even happen? So, I was very disappointed. This whole experience, it was so negative, and I wish I hadn't spent the money. I wish I hadn't come. And I'm definitely not going to come back. And please, if you are ever thinking about going to a con, please do not come to Indypopcon. Please do not do that. There are other cons out there. There are better cons out there. We have, spend your money on something like a Wizard Con. They do a very good job. Go to PAX. If you can swing it, go to San Diego Comic-Con. At least they know what they're doing down there. This con, nobody knew anything. Anytime you asked anybody anything, nobody knew anything. They're like, oh, go ask that other person over there. And then they go ask the other person over there, and they're like, oh, I don't know. They just flying by the seat of their pants the entire time. They didn't have enough staff. They didn't have enough volunteers. It was hard to find anybody to ask anything. And to be so negative about the reaction about how when we asked for a refund. Just that alone is so disconcerting. So just please do not go to Indypopcon. Don't ever go to Indypopcon. I think these people, they think that, we're a bunch of kids or something. I'm not really a kid, but, and that they can just push us around. So please, internet. I'm not asking you to subscribe to the channel. I don't really care if you subscribe to the channel or not. We do this channel for fun. But what I am asking you for is if you could retweet this video to show how terrible Indypopcon was and how terrible they treated their guests and their attendees and their panel people, their vendors, everybody, just how terrible they treated everybody. They just didn't know what they're doing. And instead of admitting that they did something wrong, they're just going to bury their head in the sand and just keep going. And that's not right. So please, don't go to Indypopcon.